Drug-induced kidney diseases. This means a kidney diseases. Kidney diseases mainly due to the abnormal and structural functions of kidney. So here, drug is an exogenous compound. It should have a different parameters. That is a pharmacokinetic parameter. It containing a ADME, absorption, distribution, metabolism, and the elimination. In this, elimination process is done by a kidney. When the drugs come under the pharmacokinetic of elimination done by a kidney means it should be get prolonged or continuous administration of same drug for a particular person leads to a structural and functional damage of kidney. Further, it leads to a kidney diseases. Drug-induced kidney diseases or a nephrotoxicity is relatively common complication for several diagnostic and therapeutic agents. When we are prolonged administration of diagnostic agent or any drugs, therapeutic agents will lead to damaging of nephron. After it leads to structural abnormalities. Then finally it leads to a kidney damage. The drug-induced nephrotoxicity is a common complication for several diagnostic and therapeutic agents. So there will be a manifestation shows like an acid-base abnormalities, electrolyte imbalance, urine sedimentation abnormalities, proteinuria, polyuria or hematuria. Then it will shows decline in n GFR rate, glomerular filtration rate. Then rise in n creatinine, serum creatinine level and blood urea nitrogens. Often reversible or discontinuing of hunting agents will stops this further complications. This also further leads to an acute. Moving on to the epidemiological study, the 20% of hospital patients has AKI, which are certainly a drug-induced. The main risk factors of drug-induced factors like a dose, drug interactions. This is a main factors. After this, the inherited nephrotoxic potential drugs. Risk factors for drug-induced kidney injuries like inheritance nephrotoxic potential of drug that includes dose, duration, frequency and form of administration or repeated exposure. Other than this, the drug interaction. Moving on to the clinical presentation, the manifestation shows like an acute and chronic kidney injury. At first, we have the manifestation decline of GFR and it leads to rise in serum creatinine and blood urea nitrogen. It shows the symptoms like malaise, anorexia, vomiting, shortness of breath and edema. Then mainly it shows the decreasing of output in urine. Renal pathophysiological alterations. Mainly it's due to the structural and function abnormalities of nephrons. Mainly they will prone to the diseases like tubular endothelial cell diseases, acute tubular necrosis, osmotic nephrosis, hemodynamic mediated kidney injury, obstructive nephropathy, intertubular obstruction, nephrolithiasis, glomerular diseases, tubular interstitial diseases, acute allergic interstitial nephritis, chronic interstitial nephritis, papillary necrosis, renal vasculitis, thrombosis and cholesterol embolisms, vasculitis, thrombosis and cholesterol emboli. Here we are going to discuss the sum of the disease definitely. And this first one is tubular epithelial cell damage. That is a cell injury. Due to the obstructions or decreasing the blood flow to the nephrons, it will further lead to necrolysis of cellular area. It is mainly caused by either direct toxins or ischemic effects of drugs. The damage is localized in a proximal convoluted tubules and distal convoluted tubules of the epithelial region. It also leads to an acute tubular necrosis. It observed as in cellular degenerations. Finally, it shows the swelling, vascularization of proximal tubular cells. Here it represents the mechanism behind it. The tubular epithelial cell damage, it shows the acute tubular necrosis. Aminoglycosides is an antibiotic that cause more nephrotoxics. The incident is lesser, like 5 to 15% who are receiving the aminoglycosides. The clinical presentation is gradually progressive or rise in the serum creatinine and creatinine clearance after 6 to 10 days administration of therapy. It shows non-oliguria above 500 ml per day. The magnesium base get elevated 10 to 30 mg per day. Then it also further leads to a severe acute kidney injury. Pathogenesis of acute tubular necrosis. This includes and starts from the binding of intracellular transport in lysosomes. Release of lysosomes enzymes it leads to the activation of ROS generation. ROS means it is a reactive oxygen species. That is a small and highly reactive molecule that can oxidize the protein, lipids and DNAs. Then here, so it alters the cellular metabolism and membrane lipidity. So due to the decreasing of membrane lipidity, it will lead to a cellular dysfunction and cell death, cell necrosis. Then there will be a cellular dysfunction means there will causes the structural damage, proximal convoluted tubule damage in the epithelial cells. Leads to a large accumulation or obstruction of tubular lumens. That leads to a back leakage of globular filtration across a damaged tubular epithelium. Finally, it leads to a decreasing of GFR rate. Risk factors. The risk factors like aggressive aminoglycoside dosing, then combination of nephrotoxic drug, existing pre-deposition factors, that is already has patient has any renal obstructions or renal structural damage or failure, acute kidney injury or already existing nephropathy or a neuropathy. Then moving on to the preventions, by altering the therapy, the fluoroquinolones 3rd generation and 4th generations to the cephalosporins. Then limits the total dose of aminoglycosides. Then avoid the concomitant therapy with the other nephrotoxic drugs like an drugs. Then highly intermittent dosing once daily is a standard regimen. Moving on to the management, at first we have to measure the serum creatinine for every 2 to 4 days. Then maintain the adequate hydration to avoid the volume depletions. Then discontinue the regimen, the causative regimen. If the serum creatinine increased of 0.5 mg per dl or more than that, then we required means we can insist the patient to give a short-term dialysis. This shows the proximal tubal injury. These are the manifestations that occurred in the proximal tubal injury, like a metabolic acidosis with bicarbonate then glycosuria, presence of glucose in urine, that absence of hyperglycemia. That patient does not have a diabetes mellitus, but patient have a glucosuria. Reduced in serum phosphatase, uric acid, potassium, magnesium, and results of increasing the urine loss. In the distal convoluted injury, it includes an polyuria of failure to maintain the concentration of urine, the metabolic acidosis that impair the urinary acidifications, the hyperkalemia from impaired potassium excretions. This is the mechanism behind the tubular injury. It is an intracellular structure of proximal and distal convoluted tubules. Here we have a necrotic cell. In this necrotizing cells, they forms in the mitochondrial damage. When the mitochondrial DNA get damaged means here it forms the cell mediators like in cytokinins. When the cytokinins get released means it will form an interleukins and the inflammation mediators. Finally, it leads to an apoptosis. Osmotic nephrosis. It refers to the structural damage occur in the cellular level on nephrons. The morphological patterns with your vascularizations and swelling in ultimate necrosis of renal tubular cells. The several drugs are associated with the osmotic nephrosis, like a mannitol, low molecular weight dextrins, radiographic contrast media, drug vehicles like sucrose, polyvinyl glycols, IV immunoglobulin solutions, plasma volume expenditures. Pathogenesis of osmotic nephrosis. Here it's include a vasoconstriction of nephral area. So there will be a vasoconstriction means automatically it leads to osmotically induced afferent arteries constrictions. Then it's reduce the blood flow. Blood flow reduced to the nephrons means it furtherly leads to decreasing of GFR. Then moving on to the management, by discontinuing the particular etiological factors, that is a drug, or otherwise dilating the solution or reducing the rate of infusion, then hemodialysis at the end stage. Hemodynamically mediated cell injury. In this, the pathogenesis of each nephron is included. The blood flow and pressures are regulated by the glomerular afferent and efferent arteries to maintain the intraglomerular capillary hydrostatic pressure, the glomerular filtration and the urine output. The both efferent and efferent arteries get vasoconstricted or preliminary mediated by the angiotensin II receptor present in the nephrons. In this, they will follow the cell mediators like arachidonic acid metabolites. After it get vasodilated, it preliminary mediated by the prostaglandin, followed by the nitric acid. The sympathetic nerve system get activation. The renin angiotensin systems. The mediator responds to the distal tubular solute. Obstructive nephropathy. It means that obstruction is a blockage of arteries, valves in a nephrons. So there will be a blockage. So obstructive nephropathy is results of mechanical obstructions to the urine flow following the glomerular filtration. The most common caused by it is an intratubular obstruction or a post-renal obstruction. Secondary to the nephrolithiasis or a prostatic hypertrophy, that is enlargement of prostate area. Intrinsic nephrotoxicity. It includes the acute interstitial nephrosis. The main etiological factors is idiosyncratic allergy drug interactions, that is an unknown drug interactions, a long-term exposure of the particular nephrotoxic drugs. Because of the hospitalization for a long period of time, it will prone to have an AKI. This condition is a predepositing condition by administering a large number of drugs in a hospital. This type of reactions occur after 2 weeks of exposure. So it has a clinical features of rashes, pyrexia, etc. Intrinsic nephrotoxicity can be determined by this way and the pathogenesis based on this way. Like it will be the immunoglobulin E concentration in the serum will be get elevated. The urine analysis and microscopic examination shows presence of leukocytes and neutrophils and delay the reuptake of gallium-67. That is the gallium-67 given in an intravenous injection. It is commonly used for detecting the sites with the inflammations or infections in the nephrons. Then after this, the renal biopsy, it shows inflammatory infiltration in a variable number of eosinophils, lymphocytes and the plasma cells. Moving on to the treatment, there is no need of renal replacement and the dialysis. The drug withdrawal is more sufficient. For an inflammation, we can give a steroid. The mechanism including 3 phases. In this first one is initiation phase. Due to the ischemia or a nephrotoxic substance enter into the body, it leads to the injurious to tubular endothelial cells. The endothelial cells get damaged, means it will lead to a detachment of basement membrane. It causes a cell death or a tubular necrosis. So it will automatically leads to decreasing a blood volume and leads to an hypoperfusion. Due to decreasing of blood volume, it will leads to decreasing of the glomerular filtration rate. It automatically increased in the serum creatinine and blood urea nitrogen concentration. Second one is the maintenance phase. It starts from the tubular necrosis. Due to the obstructions, tubular obstructions and increase in the tubular permeability, it will lead to sustained reduction of GFR. Due to the acidemia, fluid restrictions and the electrolyte imbalance and metabolic acidosis. Final one is recovery phase. The renal functions get repair or regeneration of renal tissues. Then it stimulates the growth factors by repairing and promoting the proliferation of renal tubular cells, and the tubular function gets restored, increasing the renal volume, then gradually decreased in the serum creatinine and urea level.